You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do?
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877-Dr. Dahlia, 1-877-DOCDALI. So last night, I heard some people outside going, woo, yeah. So I'm like, gosh, it's the 4th of July again. Are we still, celebrating, our 250th? What's going on? Well, because news broke that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are leaving the U.S., going back to the U.K. And here's the thing. Okay, listen. I always have had a place in my heart for Prince Harry. Seeing him as a little boy, at his mom's funeral, and him being number 2 to the throne, and then now number 5 or 7, or I always felt bad for Prince Harry, so I've always kind of had a place in my heart. And then Meghan Markle, he marries her, and it's hard to have in-laws, especially a mother-in-law who is the queen of England, for multiple decades, and so I gave them the benefit of the doubt. But Americans didn't like them. Americans rejected them. In fact, they have actually low popularity among the British. And what went wrong? Well, I could tell you what went wrong for me. And again, I wanted to like them. I even though I don't usually care about British politics and the monarchy and all that, I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt because I wanted Prince Harry, who was never going to be king, to at least, enjoy life. But what really bothered me about them, that kind of turned my opinion, and soured it, was that interview with Oprah, where they wanted us to feel sorry for them. Now, Oprah interviewed them in 2021. So that was in the midst of people losing their businesses, the ridiculous COVID lockdowns, getting fired for not getting a COVID vaccine. All this is going on, and they are complaining about the millions that they're getting and how that's not enough. And you're like, okay, is this a joke? Come on. South Park actually did a really, really good job. When Prince Harry published his memoir, they called it, I think it was called, Spare or something like that? But South Park called it Wah! And then, the whole victim game. Where they, they're trying to look like they're victims of the monarchy, and this was at a time when we needed to be really, really careful about diluting the importance and neutralizing the importance of somebody being attacked, somebody, having racial slurs against them. When, they went for that saying, well, yeah, we were victims of racism and we were victims of this. You're like, okay, listen, got to be careful because we have people that are truly, truly victimized. And you want to put yourself in the same boat financially. And it was, come on, guys. And what I said back then is what they should have done is said, look, the monarchy is great. For us, we feel there's a lot of work we can do in America with our charity work. And so we want to expand and do a lot of our, which they've done, especially Prince Harry. They've done a lot of charity work. That's how they should have done, just kept it positive. But instead, they wanted, and then like the Netflix special, which I could barely get through the first 10 minutes of. I think I only got through the first 10 seconds of it. It was just blah. And so now, with their failings with Netflix and I guess her cooking show, people just don't like them. And it should have never been that way. They could have been superstars. They could have been American royalty if they would have just said, look, we're going to let Prince William and Kate do their thing. And we're going to, now, venture off and explore America and see what we could do in America. Instead of this, they suck, they're evil, feel sorry for us. And that it was just, Look, there's other people that really, really deserve to be felt sorry for, that are real, real victims of racism and of losing, the inability to pay for their family's food. And so that was what was very frustrating to me, because they had such an opportunity. It doesn't sound like they're going to do royal work. I know they're trying to mend a relationship with King Charles while King Charles is going through his cancer treatment. But it doesn't sound like they're going to get a royal home. I think they're going to, live in a more posh area in the UK, if I could speak posh, across the pond, maybe in Cotswolds. So they might be doing that kind of thing. And it sounds like Prince Harry will still stick to his charities, which he should do. He's very charitable and he's very likable. Just don't be asking us to feel sorry for you when we're trying to pick up the COVID pieces and our battered career, and it's while you get to still go back and forth and travel, we couldn't even go to our friend's funeral. That it was just very poorly timed. And also, Meghan has the potential to show off her talent, but everything she did, it really wasn't that. She was an actress. She was a show. She has a personality, but whatever they did, it was just missed opportunity after missed opportunity. So the kids are adorable. They're already enrolled in school in England. I don't think they're completely gone yet. I'm sure we will see a parade, but this saga is almost over. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. So my recommendation to everybody else, moving forward is, look, the pity party thing is not as advantageous as you being more positive. So, like, for example, the very, very positive of the more successful ways, let's say to crowdfund, is not sitting there ripping on, well, this person did me and this person did me and woe is me, whatever. It's look, this is what I want to do. We got a bad hand, but this is how we want to turn it around. We want to pay for medical bills. We want to do this. We want to give him a chance at this, a life. Please help us. The positivity and the let's work together always trumps the negativity and the woe is me and feel sorry for me, because and the reason why that doesn't work is because we have so many people to feel sorry for. There are so many people in my life that have been rape victims, armed robbery victims, Holocaust victims. To feel sorry for but if you're like, look, follow me because this is what I want to do that's positive, you got me then. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So it is pest season. We got the ants coming in. We got the mosquitoes, the spiders, my pets. I got cats and dogs. They do absolutely nothing. They are so unproductive all day long that I thought at least my pets would do something with the pests. And I really hate mosquitoes. We're going to be talking about West Nile virus. They call it the brain swelling virus. There's a case in New York just identified because it can cause an encephalitis, inflammation of the brain. Over 222 cases reported nationwide, especially in Arizona, Texas, and California. So we got to stay away from the mosquitoes. We definitely don't like the ants. And so how do we handle pest season? So joining us next, I'm really, really excited, is Jill Pierce, Senior Director of Consumer Care at Do My Own, to talk to us about what we could do ourselves to help fight off pests. Jill, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So great. So talk to us about pest problems and what homeowners are dealing with right now in pest season.
Yeah, for sure. So this time of year, some of the biggest pest issues homeowners are dealing with are, ants, fleas, a lot of ticks, cockroaches, and definitely mosquitoes. The warm weather means more insect activity. And of course, people and pets are spending even more time outside, which means more opportunities to encounter these pests.
Absolutely. And so, we're seeing the ants, we're seeing the mosquitoes, spiders. These things are dangerous. They carry some pretty significant disease.
They definitely do. And there's so much you can do to really mitigate having these guys in your yard, too. Prevention is a really good start. You can make sure you're keeping your grass cut. You can cut back brush where ticks like to hide. You can do preventative sprays in your yard to make sure you're keeping those mosquitoes and other bugs at bay as well.
Absolutely. And because mosquitoes love water, standing water, we always like to make sure that we're not leaving kiddie pools. We want to make sure we get rid of the any sort of water pails, ice chests, things like that.
100%. I think a lot of people forget that mosquitoes need not a lot of water. It could be as small as a bottle cap, and they will lay their eggs there, and you'll have mosquito larvae. So make sure you are cleaning out your bird bath. Make sure those kiddie pools, when they're not in use, are turned upside down. Any old tires should be emptied. Any of those can be mosquito breeding grounds.
Good point. So how do my listeners determine what the right solution is, depending on what their pest issue is?
Yeah, so really identification is step one. You don't want to really just go and grab a product and start spraying before you know what you're dealing with. At domyown.com, we have a pest identification guide that can really help homeowners identify the pests and really walk them through step by step with these guides and videos on how to treat and what to treat with. Now,
we are looking at domyown.com. Thank you. What a great site. What makes the products different from what, people would get like at the average hardware store?
Yeah, so one of the biggest differences is the selection and access to professional-grade pest control products. We carry most of the same exact types of products and active ingredients used by those pest management companies that you would hire to treat your home. But the biggest difference isn't just what's in the bottle. It's really knowing what to use and how to use it and where to use it. A lot of people are very intimidated by professional-grade products, but at domyown.com, we really pair the products with detailed information, how-to videos, pest control guides, and access to our team of professionals if you need help choosing the right solution.
That it's great because you're right. A lot of people are concerned about what they could be exposed to, allergies, and we're talking also like bed bugs, and so these are things in very intimate parts of the home, and so very helpful what you have here. Beyond treating an active pest problem, we also have to remember these guys like the meal they're getting, and they're going to come back. So what can homeowners do to prevent these pests from returning?
Absolutely. So we always like to say the best pest problem is the one you prevent. So for general pest control, we want to see you sealing cracks and gaps, repairing damaged screens and weather stripping. Trim that vegetation away from your house. Don't let them use that as a highway into your home. You got to remove leaf litter and clutter and eliminate the unnecessary food and water sources outside. Insects, they need three things to survive, and that's harborage, food, and water. If you can eliminate any one of those, you can get rid of those pests before they become a problem.
That is so helpful. My dog, one of my dogs, kind of contributes to all of that. And so maybe if I get rid of the dog, have somebody adopt the dog. I love my dogs, but oh my God, they leave their food, they leave their water. So this has been, Jill, oh my gosh, this has been so helpful. Where can my listeners go to find, the products, get the expert advice, and all this fabulous information?
Absolutely. Go to domyown.com. You can search by the pest you're dealing with and find identification information, step-by-step pest control guides, the how-to videos, product recommendations, and treatment advice.
Jill Pierce, Senior Director of Consumer Care at domyown.com. This was fantastic. I cannot wait to have you back. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
You too. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, it's interesting because I got to find, I think I might have even written something on the subject years ago on how to naturally get rid of, like for example, I think ants avoid fruit, and that there were studies where if you put fruit where ants, I think they also avoid cinnamon, huh? And anyway, where if you put like certain citrus fruits or whatever, like limes and lemons and oranges or the peels, it disrupts their scent trail. Now you don't want to have on the floor of your house, these lemons and limes and oranges, and you don't want to be, squeezing orange juice and all that. But it's interesting. They don't like citrus fruits. However, ants do like melons and berries, and they do like the sugar content. So ants like fruit, but the citrus, I guess the D-limonene is an acidic oil that is apparently toxic to them. That's pretty cool. But they say coffee grounds can also maybe cause ants to avoid them. Thing is, though, is I live in Southern Nevada. So in Southern Nevada, man, we get everything. And I'm really blown away by the mosquitoes we're getting. Southern Nevada is very dry, as opposed to Florida, very humid. And so, in Florida, you're always watching out for West Nile and Zika and things like that. And, there's malaria, the mosquitoes, can carry a variety of things. We usually don't see them in the drier climates because mosquitoes like water, but we're seeing more of it. Especially you'll see it in the summer after monsoon. So, I'm looking at my ankles right now and I have 3 mosquito bites. Like, where the hell did they come from? And you will not feel the mosquito on you. People are like, well, I don't like to spray the off, or I don't want to put any bug spray on me. If I see them, I'll knock them off. I'll be more diligent. No, you never know the mosquitoes on you because through a suck blow mechanism that they have, they blow an anesthetic into the skin so that you don't feel them on you. The ticks do the same thing. So you don't know what's on you until the anesthetic wears off. This way they could suck the blood or whatever they want. And so mosquitoes and ticks carry disease during this suck blow mechanism. And so it's very frustrating. West Nile scares me. I don't like it. The Aedes aegypti mosquito, which usually is one of the biggest culprits of this, like to make their rounds. And the monsoon weather and flooding brings mosquitoes to local areas. And so the West Nile virus, which they've now had over 220 cases nationally. New York City now has confirmed their first case of it. It was originally discovered in the 1930s in the West Nile district of Uganda. We believe it made it to the United States by the 1990s. It's in the family of Flaviviridae. The disease is vector transmitted, just like when ticks or other mosquitoes, can infect mammals as hosts. And the West Nile is part of the family of Zika, yellow fever, dengue, and Japanese encephalitis. The Culex genus species of mosquitoes are the usual culprit. They like to feed from evening to morning. That's when they're more active. So from dusk to dawn. And so they actually will feed on an infected bird or something else that has West Nile and then transmit it to humans. 80% of people who get West Nile don't have symptoms. But they might get fever, body aches, fatigue, nausea, vomiting, joint pains, weakness, rash. And in 1 in 150 people, they could get the neuroinvasive symptoms like headache, stiff neck, high fever, paralysis, confusion, seizures, coma, and God forbid, die. So, be alert and make sure you don't have extra water around the house and wear protective clothing. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
We are back on Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. So this Lindsay Clancy case is, I believe, now on day 17. The Lindsay Clancy murder trial is where she has admitted to killing her 5-year-old daughter, Cora, 3-year-old son, Dawson, and 8-month-old baby, Callan, in their home in Massachusetts on January 24th, 2023. Horrible, horrible tragedy. But there's a defense case that is actually growing a lot of steam. And there's been a lot of kind of questions and controversy around that, as well as she has supporters wearing pink all around now the country, supporting her after she, I don't know if we still say allegedly because she admitted to murdering them. And this has now turned into rather than it being a murder case, did the medical system fail her? Is the medical system flawed? And is postpartum psychosis a defense? And so all eyes are kind of watching this because the prosecution is starting to lose its I don't want to say attractiveness, but lose its lust or its favor from the public. The prosecution is saying, look, even if she did suffer from anxiety and depression and psychosis, it's murder if you plan. And we have evidence that she planned. Defense is like, well, you could be psychotic and still, do daily activities. And she knew she was going to hurt her kids. And so, why didn't she get help? So where the prosecution and defense is making their point. So the prosecution is saying, look, all right, it's murder if you plan and if it's deliberate. So what did Lindsay Clancy do as opposed to a state of absolute psychosis where she would just chaotically wield a weapon? She apparently, allegedly, according to prosecution, she deliberately engineered an opportunity to be alone with the kids. She orchestrated errands for her husband. She told him to get takeout, pick up dinner, and go to the pharmacy. And apparently the takeout location isn't like their typical one. The restaurant that she chose was called 3V, not one of their usually routine or normal takeout spots, which could allow a little bit more time. This is based on prosecution. She also apparently, digital forensics extracted from her phone revealed she was using Apple Maps to calculate the precise driving time to and from the restaurant in an adjacent town to ensure she had a functional window to commit the murders and then attempt her own suicide before he returned. Now, somebody could say she wanted to see how far the restaurant was, but they said this was because she wanted to time it. There was also prior internet search history. State police and digital intelligence experts looked at data from her searches leading up to the event, looking at how to tie a slip knot, how to overdose, and terminology surrounding hallucinations and psychosis. So they say this was organized. It wasn't just in the throe of a psychotic event. This was in planning for days. And they also said that she moved the older child to another room so that there would be no interference with the murder of the younger two children. Just absolutely horrific. The defense is saying, look, she asked for help. She went to the doctor. She told her family, look, I think I'm going to hurt my kids. Now, again, you wonder, why didn't the family tell the doctor, get the kids away? Still a little confusing there, but I get it. I get it. Some people could be in shock. They're not, medical professionals. But, if somebody told me, I think I'm going to hurt my kids, I would get those kids, I'd get my grandkids, I'd get those kids as far away from her as possible, whether I had a medical degree or not. So I'm still a little unclear about that, but that is the defense witness's testimony. The defense is using the family to defend her. They said the medications were very haphazardly written. No doctor was talking to the other doctor. All the visits were on telehealth. Nobody saw her or asked her to come in person. Now, the doctors are saying, look, okay, if she told me that the kids were in danger and she felt the kids were in danger, we would have gotten Child Protective Services, but she never said that. If she told us she was hearing voices, because defense is saying she heard a man's voice told her to kill the kids. She said, the doctor's like, she never told us she was having hallucinations. Now, even though the doctors are looking very, very weak, because, I would have had somebody come in person. I wouldn't have just done strictly telemedicine on somebody who I was taking care of for a year or two. I would make sure there were no drug interactions, things like that. So those things do concern me. From a medical standpoint, the doctors make a point where if actually you should always ask, are you hearing voices? If they asked that and she said no, then that's, they have to go with what the patient said. If they asked, do you ever feel like hurting somebody? Do you have any homicidal ideation or suicidal ideation? If she says no, even though it doesn't clear you 100%, we always ask that and we ensure the answer is a no. So if she's saying, well, the answer was yes, but I never told the doctors, then how culpable are the doctors? Now, yes, there's probably going to be malpractice cases and other things that are going to come out of this. But if the doctors have, look, we asked her if is she going to hurt anybody? I mean, I don't know what I believe on this, because anybody, whether they were in a psychotic state or not, okay, she needs help and she should not be around the public. But if she gets off by insanity, she could be out in a few years. Whereas if she was convicted of murder ×3 of children, she would be life in prison. Now, the prosecution said she also staged her suicide, where it's not that she went to a building and jumped or she overdosed on a lot of medications. She jumped out of a second-story window. Now, sadly, she's paralyzed from that. But prosecution's like, I think she staged it so it could be a part of the defense. And so people are kind of looking at the prosecution going, man, you're kind of rough on her. She lost her family. Even though it was by her choice, She's paralyzed. You're asking the mother-in-law about mortal sin. The prosecution might not be winning the jury over. But the truth of the matter is we have 3 young children gone. Some planning had to take place. The removal of the father, the figuring out how to do it, and 3 young children who should have never been in her custody got killed. This is, it's has to change the way we manage moms with severe mental illness and dads with severe mental illness and innocent children. Usually we get Child Protective Services involved. But, we're now with mental health, now that so many people have mental health issues. And we are not, in the olden days, if you had mental health issues, we, helped you separate. We helped you, go into inpatient therapy. We, ensured there was no danger to other people. Now it's, well, here's a pill and go home. Here's another pill and go home. Check back in with us. Just like with pneumonia. If you had pneumonia, we put you in the hospital. Now with pneumonia, we give you a Z-Pack and send you home. Sometimes back to work. So we're doing things differently. We don't want people stigmatized by their mental health or anything like that, but do we maybe need to do a little bit more than here's a pill, go back home? Should we be inviting the family so that we could hear from the mother, yeah, she's going to hurt her kids, in case she's not calling authorities herself to let them know? But this was a disaster on all on fronts. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive this stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
We are back on the Dr. Dolly Show, 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So, I'm looking at this Penn State cocaine ring bust. This is, it's a shame. Thomas Robinson, 23 years old, who I think his father, was it, that tried to help protect him? Has been slapped not only with being a part of this Penn State cocaine trafficking ring and tasered, but he has been now accused of resisting arrest. Now, he is saying he thought this was a fraternity prank. He thought the officers were fraternity brothers playing a prank on him. He was cuffed in State College in December of 2024. A search of his dorm room at the Delta Epsilon fraternity house turned up over 8 grams of cocaine, 8 ounces of weed, more than 200 amphetamine, dextroamphetamine pills. He's in trouble. Authorities were told, according to New York Post, by a confidential informant that a male using the nickname T-Rob is selling large amounts of cocaine from the Delta Epsilon fraternity house. The alleged drug kingpin was accepting payment through a Venmo account with the username Tom Robinson. Didn't even try to hide it. He's been charged in several incidents from September to December 2024, including drug manufacturing and delivery, criminal use of a communication facility, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. T-Rob then ratted out, allegedly, Agostino Abatiello, a ringleader of the operation and fellow student at Sigma Chi. He apparently is the one who supplied him with coke. Unsure if Robinson has entered a plea. He is scheduled to be in court next month for a pretrial hearing. But apparently when the cops tried to arrest him, he fought off, thinking it was the fraternity brothers screwing around. He works as a salesperson at Cab Incorporated, and his position is a laborer, or he previously held a position as laborer at United States Steel Corporation. His father, Paul Robinson, is a Pittsburgh attorney, was also implicated in this. Apparently he is charged with felony tampering, hindering apprehension for taking steps to conceal evidence in the case, including a safe stuffed with cash and drugs, and obstructing the investigation. The dad was from Edinburgh, University of Pennsylvania, got a law degree from New England School of Law. Well, then you should know the law and know that what you did was bad. Was also treasurer for Delta Sigma Phi as an undergrad, and member of Phi Alpha Delta while in law school. This 14, I believe, were arrested in the scandal. 14 people so far. And, we know that BS happens on college campuses, but when students and former students, it's sick. The two main ringleaders were apparently Agostino and Thomas Robertson. They apparently traveled to New York and Philly according to 6 ABC Philadelphia, to get large quantities of cocaine. The cocaine then gets brought back to State College. It's cut and packaged inside the fraternity houses. Prosecutors say that the fraternity pledges were forced to package the drugs as part of their hazing or initiation into the organizations. Now, that would stink. You tell your son, okay, or daughter, if this is what the sorority is doing, that if you are asked to do anything illegal, see, what really, really stinks with that is, in my day, back in the 90s, the hazing was all illegal. Running around naked, painting something on the wall, stealing something. The hazing was always unlawful activities. And that was just the norm. Now, I never pledged for a sorority. I was too busy working. I didn't think I was pretty enough, and I just didn't have the time. So, or money, because it was expensive too. But I heard what everybody else went through, and it's like, okay, really? Isn't that illegal? Well, it's hazing. That's what they do. You're like, well, I didn't think you were allowed to do that kind of stuff. So anyway, they used the pledges. According to New York Post, Robinson accepted public Venmo payments under his actual name for drug transactions, and he would arrange sales on Snapchat, social media platform. Then there was a mule. One co-defendant, a fellow fraternity brother, revealed to the grand jury that Abatiello forced him to deliver cocaine after he was unable to pay back a $1,500 loan borrowed for a spring break trip. So the raid happened, I think, in 2024. Law enforcement officers entered his room. He resisted, threatened the officers, claiming he thought it was a fraternity brothers. So they had to deploy a taser And that's where they found the cocaine, marijuana, amphetamine pills, even a handgun. And then Robinson turned in his buddy. The only non-student caught up in this is the dad, the Paul Robinson, who tried to hide some of the stuff and impede the investigation. So I am sure that, Penn State, this is not the only university where this stuff could be happening. My guess is if the cartel is behind this or some other drink or kingpin, I am sure that this is going on, in multiple areas. It's horrible. Penn State University Vice President for Student Affairs, Andrea Downhauer, said that the university is horrified by these serious allegations. But from what I understand is they don't have control over the fraternities. When you have Greek row, if the home is on campus, there's some authority there, because it's on their land. If Greek row is off campus, they might not have that much authority. They might recognize some fraternities, but not all of them. And so you want the school to recognize your fraternity because then you get money. There's always student funds from the ridiculous tuition. They give money to these clubs and fraternities and things like that. So it's interesting if one isn't. So I'm sure Penn State's going to get involved. And then, somebody's going to be accusing them of misdoing but understand that there's a lot of BS happening on these college campuses, which really make me wonder if we should still be continuing to give them the billions of dollars that we do. All right. Kids are supposed to be going to campus, doing community service, all right, volunteer work, bettering their CV, improving their resume, getting out, getting a job, maybe dating, going to some games, being a part of the university community. And instead, they're using these campuses as drug havens. And it's frightening and it's frustrating. Especially when you have now people who want to, these are well-known fraternities. So somebody wanting to join a fraternity is going to be desperate. And I wonder what's going to happen to the pledges. I'm sure the pledges are going to get in trouble because it was still an illegal activity. But I'm sure there's going to be a much better deal that they get based on, look, this was, they felt forced to do it. Listen, if you really want to be a part of a fraternity so bad and they're doing illegal stuff, don't join that fraternity. That's already a huge red flag. And I understand that there's a very small window of opportunity where if you leave one fraternity, you won't be able to pledge to a next. My answer to that is, who cares? I get the brotherhood and I get some of these fraternities and sororities are pretty cool to be a part of. But if there's one doing illegal activity, you cannot be a part of that. Your life is ruined. And that's not a good fraternity to be a part of. And the fraternity organizers are supposed to be watching. They're supposed to be sending delegates, keeping an eye on stuff. And if that person's head is up his retroperitoneum, bad stuff happens. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by Financial Fitness Show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.